Modulottie. I'm live from Oregon, bringing you Katana 0, and because some generous donors have understood the assignment about incentives, which is of course that incentives are for making the runner suffer, we will be playing Katana 0 hard mode today, category which has not been showcased previously on the big stage, and we'll be happy to tell you lots about that in a little bit. I'm joined today by three wonderful commentators who I will let introduce themselves now.
Hello, I'm Roseblom.
Hello, I'm Chat, also a player of Katana 0 hard mode.
And I'm Metroid Prime. I'm a new player to this game.
Alright then, I will be starting the run in just a second here. I'm going to click, and the character here in the middle of the screen is going to deflect this bullet that this dude is shooting at us. And time's going to start, and I'm going to start moving, and I'm going to talk a bunch. Alright, I'll count down now if that's alright. Alright, great. I will start in 3, 2, 1, go. So, Katana 0, for people who don't know, is this platformer about rolling and slashing and killing a bunch of enemies and deflecting bullets rather, and it's kind of like Hotline Miami rotated 90 degrees mixed with the Matrix. And the thing about running this game is that the whole game is built around this idea that you have this slow motion power. You can use slow motion and activate bullet time. And the thing about speedrunning is we don't like slow motion very much. It's kind of slow, so we're not going to be using it that much. We did use it just there because we have to. That's kind of the game's tutorial to what slow motion is, and you get to skip that if you have slow motion disabled, which you may have seen in previous runs if you watch a lot of speedruns of this game. But because we're running hard mode today, we actually need to have it on for a very, very important trick later, as well as some consistency adding strategies throughout the run that you're going to be seeing. So that was the first level there. We're going to be coming into the second level hotel here in a second, and I guess I can talk a little bit about the basic movement tech of this game. So throughout the game, we're going to be rolling, which moves you quickly and has invincibility frames and lasts 21 frames. And we're going to be trying, whenever we have a lot of flat terrain, we're going to be trying to roll at the highest speed that we can there. Yes?
This track was crazy, honestly. But yeah, there are a few differences in hard mode compared to normal mode, like more enemies, more turrets on lasers and stuff like that. New boss phase, 2 new type of enemies also, yeah, ton of cool things. And for the slow-mo part, it's actually, there are a lot of places where it's actually faster, but it's very hard to make it faster. It's sometimes faster because slow-mo change a few things in the game, like you jump higher, for example, or things like that.
Yes, one very important thing about slow motion that's actually going to come into play here in a second is that slow motion removes your pre-jump frames, which are the frames after you press the jump button but before your character leaves the ground, and that's going to be important here in just a second when I go for this cycle. Very clean.
There we go.
So that cycle is very cool and fancy, and it is completely RNG based, even if you hit it frame perfectly, unless you have slow motion and you use it to remove your pre-jump frames and leave the ground faster.
It was called BB2. Normally, in the normal game, we should play like sneaky, but we're speedrunners, so we just prefer jumping.
Yeah, we like to just speed through all the stealth sections.
Definitely.
Yeah, and here you'll see right there, you saw the character jump from the start of the level to slightly later in. That's because at the start of some levels, Lottie's pressing R, the quick restart button, which puts you at the spawn point of the level, which is sometimes further in than where you enter the level.
Yes, I also would be using this at various points throughout the run, just to get a more favorable cycle that's a little easier to execute or a little more consistent. It's like doing a death cycle in something like Celeste, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, and now we got this room, which has a lot more enemies that come in behind you after you kill the first few.
Lottie did a super bottle throw that basically just throwing a bottle off screen to the left and aiming to spawn kill an enemy that will spawn. Because later on the bottom of the screen, you only have 2 bottles and there are 3 enemies on the top. So we first kill 1 and then 2 enemies at the end.
Yeah. That first bottle throw is a little special too. Throughout the run, when we throw projectiles, most of them are going to be auto-aimed by the game, as long as there's an enemy in your field of view. But that first bottle on the top floor there is actually thrown before the enemy spawns, so that has to be completely manually aimed, and you then have to drop down and reach the location that triggers the spawn of the enemies in time for the bottle to dome them in the head.
In normal mode, this level right here, Prison, is usually rather simple. There's very few enemies, and it's actually intended as mostly a stealth portion in normal mode. But in hard mode, it's full of way more enemies, and so it becomes quite difficult.
Hard mode, of course, is like the mean Mario Maker level version of Katana 0, so there's just tons of enemies everywhere. There's a couple new types of enemies, one of which we've seen already, I think. And he's right here. It's the red, the guy in the red. We call him Karate Ricky. The skinny guys with the Elvis haircuts are all called Skinny Ricky. They're all the same character. And the one that's wearing red and has a little headband is called Karate Ricky. And of course, learning karate gives you the magical superpower of letting you hit me during my iframes, which I don't like.
That's the main reason why everyone hates hard mode.
Yeah, it's the biggest barrier when you first start playing hard mode.
Yeah, many enemies. There's like a recurring motif or tactic with a lot of enemies where you will deal with them very simply by rolling behind them and slashing them. To deal with shields and the Rickies, the normal Rickies have a crowbar attack that will clink with you and put your slash on a cooldown. So they're really easy to deal with by rolling behind them. But if they're grouped together with a Karate Ricky, that will kick you out of your roll and you'll die. So you have to come up with alternative tactics.
Yeah. And now we're going through each of the levels of the studio here. And soon we'll be getting to the Chapel of Doom, the final level before we get to the boss fight. And to preview that level a little, that level acts as an auto-scroller for most of the level, but as you'll see, we make it a little bit less of an auto-scroller.
Yeah, we will be attempting a very big skip that saves about 17 seconds, skipping most of the auto-scroller by doing some fancy platforming which involves deflecting bullets, which if you deflect a bullet in midair, it has some special properties with your slash that actually allows you to gain height, whereas normally you can only kind of hover.
And it saves so much time that even if you miss it the first time but get it the second one, you don't really lose time actually. So it's extremely worth it.
It's pretty inadvisable to reset the room and try again if you miss it when you're just doing runs, but because we're on a marathon here, if I miss it, I'm gonna go for it 2 more times probably.
We will use a little bit of slow-mo. It's not like we don't need to use slow-mo, but it makes it way easier and way more consistent.
Oh, that was it.
Oh no.
That was it. One more.
Yeah, very close.
One last try.
That might be bad, actually. He's angry now, too. We're gonna sit down here and wait. This guy might kill me, in which case I get to try it again.
That would be very sad.
Ah, I got you.
If that guy gets angry and walks up to the edge, it is very, very hard to actually survive there. I probably should have just reset it.
That is hard mode, I guess.
Yeah, he just gave us a second chance.
Oh, I lagged! I lagged and dropped a frame. I instinctively reset there because... No way.
Too low.
You see the idea, though.
Alright.
That does save.
This skip in normal mode, we learned to do it a while ago now, but we couldn't do it in hard mode since like a few months ago maybe. And yeah, in hard mode it's way harder.
Yeah, it's very difficult on hard mode.
This is one of the only screens, I believe the only one in this category where you're normally allowed to leave enemies alive. Just a little special tidbit.
Yep. Yeah, just those two screens of doom.
This room is hard. There are a lot of different types of trouble in the game. Most of the time you will just throw like statue and bottles that just insta-kill, but there's some smoke bomb or molotov sometimes.
Yeah, and you'll notice the orange lasers protruding from the ceiling. Those fire bullets at you rather than the red lasers, which will just kill you on contact. So they have a different timing to
You can actually
when
deflect
they're
those
dangerous.
too. I don't know if they go anywhere when you do, but you can deflect them.
Yeah, they deflect back at the laser, so they're not usually going to land and hit anything, but yeah, you can deflect them. It's not very useful. And here we see the
Oh no.
going for the quick V kill, which is just pushing him against the wall and hitting him a bunch. You're supposed to, this fight is intended to have you just wait for him to shoot and then roll behind him before he can turn around, but we can just push him against the wall and hit him a bunch just like that.
In the story, you're even intended to die normally, but if you hit it a few times, it will just skip the dying part.
Yeah. If you've played the game normally, or if you've maybe watched normal speedruns, one thing you might notice is that is especially noticeable in that last boss fight there, is that the boss just moves faster. And that's actually true of a lot of the enemies too. The AI is much more aggressive, bullets fly faster, frame windows for all sorts of things are a lot smaller, which means that tiny bits of RNG add up to be bigger, and tiny differences in your execution snowball to be really big deals. And it's actually really difficult a lot of the time to back your strats up if you go off course.
Yeah,
The
backup
light got
strats.
off. Enemies will see you a little bit less, but honestly, it don't change that much the gameplay.
They feel more aggressive sometimes.
That can be true. Never noticed that, but that can be true actually.
It's not as noticeable in hard mode, I think, but in normal mode, they are... When I was learning this game at first, I hated this level in normal mode because the AI is so weird.
Yeah.
We're using a little slow-mo here just to make sure, because there's RNG about when enemies aggro, and the bullets are so fast, if they stack up on top of each other, it can be really hard to do that deflection correctly.
Yeah, you basically always, when one bullet stack like that, you have to just deflect one and then roll, and it's a very hard timing.
You have a few extra frames to do the roll after you're deflecting in normal mode, but the bullets fly so fast in hard mode. If they're stacked up weirdly, I'll usually just die, which is why I did the little slow motion there.
And this is the Kissy Face boss fight. He normally has a bunch of different axe attacks that he uses, but we're barely going to get to see any of them. He also throws a grenade like that.
That one's a hard mode exclusive. Aside from that, he moves a lot faster and has like 3 extra hits of HP, which means this is really punishing if you die on hard mode.
Yep. Yeah, dying on hard mode here is a massive time loss.
Coming up is Moto, which is kind of like a giant auto-scroller. It's pretty terrible. There's a lot of RNG, and it is not super interesting. Helicopter on hard mode is the worst screen in the entire game. It's extremely RNG. You can mitigate all of the RNG by reacting really well and executing nicely, but it's not super interesting. It's hard to practice because you have to do this whole auto-scroller before you get there, and if you die because of the RNG, you'll lose more than 30 seconds.
Yeah, so now might be a good time to read some donations.
Right, yeah. Well, first I'll just thank some of the folks who helped make the hard mode incentive added. As you recall, the terms are, if you're playing Tears of the Kingdom out there right now, you have to donate $5. $5 from the Risky Penguin. I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom right now, so here's the $5 that was requested. 07. Thank you. $5 here from Agent Jones, hopping on the $5 Zelda Tears of the Kingdom train. Yeah, haha. For anyone else out there who's playing TOTK, we do have a Hearthstone incentive open right now. If you want to see a showcase of one-turn kill tricks, you should donate toward that one. Meanwhile, one more here. $25, Nick O saying, so let me get this straight. The main character of Katana Zero is going to dance with no bar while showcasing glitches in Hearthstone? I gotta see that.
That's correct.
Something like that.
I'm the Katana Zero runner. I think I would know. That is exactly right.
Oh yeah, and then $5 here from Ciro, who says, my first donation ever for G2Q. Excited to finally have enough money to donate. Excited to see Katana Zero run as I head to bed for the night. Hope
everyone breathe out.
Hope everyone there is having a great time. Let's get that hard mode less than 3, and indeed we did.
All right, now we're heading into Chinatown. This is one of the harder stages, but it's also got a lot of very cool looking strategies for finishing these rounds.
I dropped the frame.
Yeah, the game really ramps up difficulty in this level.
Yeah, the difficulty does really ramp up here. But yeah, it's the difficulty really goes back and forth between levels, especially in hard mode.
Yeah, on hard mode, I'd say everything is baseline as hard as normal Slaughterhouse, and some levels are randomly way harder. Here we just did a glitch where when enemies are walking in between floors using the stairwells there, they temporarily count as dead for the purposes of progressing, which means that when we do the deflection there and lure them all up to the top floor, we can actually leave without killing all of them.
Yep.
If you can't see someone, he does not exist, obviously.
You'll notice those little robots there, which that one there got hit and blew up all the barrels down there. Those little sentry robots are introduced in this Chinatown level, and they'll shoot at you if they see you, and you can hit them around and they'll explode. And here vans come in with some enemies, and so you've got to get rid of those. And now this is the last room of Chinatown. Normally there's a cutscene after this, but of course we're skipping those. And now we'll be heading into a level where we're not playing as Zero, but rather as a completely different character. A blonde swordsman called 15.
Or the dragon, as he was referred to in Hotel. There was a little monologue at the beginning, if you remember that. I believe in the story, this guy here is who happened to the prison before we got there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, and this level is just you getting through that prison.
And we, of course, instead of our normal slow motion powers, we also have a dash that teleports us and instantly kills all the enemies. This is not what we want.
Oh gosh.
I almost backed it up.
Just got hit by the bullet lasers.
That is what we want.
Yeah, the dash slash is very useful, but the massive cooldown on it means that oftentimes it's a lot better to just keep slashing normally unless you've got a big group of enemies, or you're leaving the level, or getting to a door.
If you like this mod, this character, there is a mod created by someone that makes you play the dragon for the whole game. There is even a category on speedrun.com.
It's very fun as a casual player. And as a speedrunner too.
Yeah. It might seem like it's just better, but there's actually some meaningful differences that cause certain rooms to be way harder. Because it's bound to the same button as throwing items, which means that you can't actually throw items in levels that have items if you're playing as that character. I just did a really, really important trick while I was explaining that.
Yeah, the trick
this is like the biggest tip ever.
Yeah, the trick that Lottie did there lets her skip a story segment later that's called the null test, where the man who lives in the slaughterhouse actually puts you through a whole set of enemy waves that takes like several minutes, so it's very good to be able to skip that.
Definitely.
Yeah, skip like 70 seconds, some cutscene, some boring cutscene, boring one waiting on a boss fight.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that character also, if you don't disable that security system, they will track you with a sniper.
Yeah.
Throughout this level,
And the
which
sniper
is not fun.
and as a hard mode exclusive, the sniper actually explodes when it shoots in hard mode.
I forgot that there was a sniper, honestly.
Yeah, we skip it all the time, so.
One notable thing about that, specifically in hard mode, is that in hard mode it is very, very unintended to get the null skip, whereas in normal mode it's a natural part of the game that you're kind of expected to maybe figure out on like a second casual run. On hard mode, the Karate Ricky runs so fast, he's always supposed to set the camera off. And also, you can't roll past the first camera there. You actually have to slash the wire. It's super, super unintended for you to be able to skip that, and it was discovered kind of recently, and it saves like a minute and a half or something.
Yep. Yeah. And now we're going to be adding into Bunker, which is, that level's more of a series of small rooms that you work your way through and then
the
get into an
WarioWare
elevator.
level.
Very chill level, you just have a little break between each room, it's very nice. But each room is pretty hard.
This might be a good time to read some more donations, actually.
Oh, you bet. We had one come in prior to beating the incentive from $25 from Dag Nabbit Jones. Said, here's to the Katana Zero hard mode upgrade. Best of luck to Lottie and everyone on the couch. You're all amazing. Less than 3. I have $100 here from ANC, just paying my Tears of the Kingdom tax. Oh, thanks. Yeah,
Wow.
much appreciated. $200 here from Anonymous. Let's get that Hearthstone donation goal. Yeah, thank you so much, Anonymous. And we are making progress on that. Remember, if you want to see some one-turn kill showcases in our next run, after our next run, that's Hearthstone Knights of the Frozen Throne, donate toward that incentive now. $5 from Kitcha. Tears of the Kingdom tax. I'm showing my friend Barry GDQ live for the first time, and he's having a great time enjoying the wholesomeness. Trans lives matter.
All right, and now we're coming up on the end of Bunker. And we just did get that donation from Dang Nabbit Jones, who's our current normal mode world record holder and a consistent active speedrunner in our scene. Shoutouts to him. And this level, Bunker 2-1, this is one of the largest rooms in the game, and it can be very fast and it can be very difficult. You make it all the way through there.
It's the hardest one.
Unfortunately, it is not as fast or cool in the hard mode version. You kind of do have to take it a little bit slower compared to easy mode there.
That was rather impressive. Usually I don't see people make it through the Terry wave at the start of that room
I have
quickly.
a very specific setup for it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Got a double click
This
there.
is the biggest room of the game, so if you die, and you probably will, honestly, you will lose a lot of time. It's the worst level for most people that play hard mode.
Yeah. Yeah, this room is rather large and has a lot of enemies and a lot of turrets and lasers, a lot of stuff that's trying to kill you. And that's because it's the last room before we get to the final boss.
I take a pretty inefficient routing there just so I don't die at the end.
Yep. And here we are at the Headhunter, the final boss. She's going to try to roll out of your way, which she does specifically in hard mode. She does that much faster. It's harder to catch her, but we still get her and take down these enemy waves. And when the last hit on her here, and then she enters her second phase down here.
Yes. This boss fight is the biggest upgrade from normal mode. The stats are completely different, actually. Whereas the other ones are pretty much the same, but a little bit faster. This is actually a completely different boss fight, and I think it's really fun. She's dead.
We're approaching time.
Very nice.
Time is going to happen here in a second after I scan her head on this retinal scanner and walk through the door. Good game.
All right.
Amazing
time.
one, actually.
Yeah, that was amazing.
All right. And that's Katana 0. If you want to try it for yourself, it's a pretty beginner-friendly speed run. You can start with slow motion, and the run you can get it down to like half an hour pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's not too long of a run.
If you're not interested in speedrunning, it's a very fun casual game. If you like the aesthetics of what have been happening, but it seems impossible to you, good news is that there's slow motion. It's very fun, kind of like puzzle game on a casual playthrough, actually. Using slow motion and going through everything really slowly, figuring out how to get through the levels is a lot of fun as a casual player.
Yeah, the speedrun community is still pretty active. There was a new minute barrier that got broke like 2 weeks ago in hard mode. I think it's the 18-1.
Yeah, the hard mode minute barrier did just get broken, and we're pretty close to a minute barrier in normal mode too. And we're waiting for an upcoming update to the game that should be coming pretty soon. So
yeah,
that's all
awesome.
pretty exciting.
Lots
it's a
of
pretty
exciting
exciting time
DLC,
for
gonna be
Katana
amazing.
0.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone at home for watching.
Thanks so much. I'm so happy to have gotten to show hard mode today. Thank you so much to our generous donors that pushed that thing over the finish line at the last minute so I could show this one.
Yeah, that was fantastic. All right, everyone, give it up one more time there for Modulottie. That Katana 0 run, fantastic work. And yes, so much thanks to everyone for making the hard mode dream possible. Right before we take our next break, just wanted to mention a $5 donation here from Starrazer, who said, "One true king. I mean, one turn kill." Thank you, Starrazer. Wish us luck on that OTK stuff. We'll be right back after these messages. And welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick 2023, powered by Twitch. I'm Prolix, be hosting for one more run here as we have in setup right now Hearthstone Knights of the Frozen Throne, a solo adventures run by SRD27. And coming up after that, we'll have Overcooked 2, Night of the Hangry Horde, as all Hangry Horde levels by several runners Ruby Heart, Peace Egg, and Sunbro Jade. Meanwhile, I'll keep you entertained as we get those runs ready by informing you about incentives and such, and reading some of your donations. I suppose the most important thing on my mind right now is that one-turn kill trick showcase available right now for Hearthstone. If met, we will see some OTK tricks following the Knights of the Frozen Throne run. That one is available through the end of the run, so you still have time to donate toward it. Meanwhile, I mentioned Overcooked 2 earlier. It is time to take you to the interview desk where we will be speaking with our Overcooked 2 runners. Take it away, please.